Good morning, New Orleans. Good morning. Wake up. It's early, and
Wake
I
up, New
know it. I know
Orleans.
it. This is your girl, Dr. Ashanta White. In studio with me is Senator Wesley Bishop.
We're back again. We're back again.
Absolutely, absolutely. And behind the glass, holding us both down as always, is Nara. Nobody does it better. So good
Nobody.
morning. Good morning. Listen, I missed y'all. It's been what, 2 days?
Two,
Two
two
days
days,
I've
two
been
days,
off air.
absolutely. Wednesday and Thursday.
Wednesday and Thursday. Look at Wesley keeping up with it. I was missing in action, but I missed y'all. So we just gonna jump right in it. We were talking offline about the debate.
Absolutely.
The debate. So the debate actually happened, but before we jump to the debate, I want to say that the good news post Hurricane Francine is that Louisiana had no storm-related fatalities from Hurricane Francine.
And that was a blessing. Anybody that spent any time here in the city of New Orleans, you know how serious it can be with hurricanes. And so we watched this one closely. This one actually came, I guess, early during the week. It seemed like it was headed more toward the Texas coast and began to continue to edge eastward. And that seemed to be a little bit problematic. But fortunately, based upon what we hear, that we haven't dealt with those storm-related fatalities, and that worked out well. And so we just wish everybody to be safe and return. And we know that there was some power that was actually out. Cox cable was out. Got a lot of calls regarding that. But my understanding is that all power has now been restored, and most individuals are able to go back to work. And many of the schools, some of the schools are still out, but I know many of the schools, my children's school, they're currently going to be back. So we're glad that that happened, and we didn't have any fatalities in this particular area.
Well, I also want to give another shout out. I did so online, but I want to give a shout out to Bob Breck because he called in with us on Monday and
Okay.
he accurately predicted the trajectory of Hurricane Francine.
Okay.
So I want to give a shout out to Bob Breck for his timely and accurate trajectory path for Hurricane Francine. And I'm just proud of the fact that and happy and grateful for the fact that there were no storm related fatalities from Hurricane Francine per the governor.
Dr. White, to make you laugh, when I was in sixth grade at McDonald Farley Elementary School, Bob Breck came to our school and spoke to our class, and I would never forget. The whole school stopped because Bob Breck came to McDonald Farley when Dr. John Foster was our principal, and we actually loved that. I mean, folks like Bob Breck, folks like Nash Roberts, just if you spend any time here in New Orleans, you've been there for a minute, those names are iconic when it comes to hurricane season.
Hmm.
So we thank Bob Breck for stepping in and providing citizens of New Orleans with timely information so we can make accurate decisions.
Oh, absolutely. So now that we have gotten our local weather Hurricane Francine update out of the way, the debate happened, and we were off air for 2 days, so we couldn't really discuss
Mhm.
it. But let's talk about it. The polls have Kamala Harris leading 47% to
Absolutely.
42% post debate. We have the former president refusing to debate again. He's
Yes.
saying that he's not going to debate. He used the analogy that the winner never asked for a rematch, is basically what he was saying. So he thinks that he won. No matter what the numbers say, no matter what Nielsen says, he says he won.
Well, we all know that. Let me not speak for anybody else. Let me just speak for me. I know that the former person who was the president in that office happens to be delusional. And every time I see him
Delulu?
on delusional,
The Lulu. He's the Lulu.
absolutely. And every time I see it, I sit and I listen. I was like, what is this man thinking? Because it seems to come across so crazy and just makes no sense whatsoever. I took very detailed notes when I was watching the debate because I wanted to see exactly what he was going to say. And I seen what he had said before. And we've talked a little bit about that. Most folks would suggest that a lot of people, I think, I don't know if it was 61 or 71 million people that actually watched the actual debate. But
61.
61. So in actually watching the debate, a lot of those individuals are independents who really haven't made a decision. So they're trying to look at it and see what goes on. But one thing that clearly came across to me, there was only one person on that debate stage who came across as being either presidential or commanding, and that was Kamala Harris. No matter what, you could be the biggest Trump that there is. You could have three Make America Great Again hats on your head. But if you watched it in a careful and in a bipartisan fashion, she came across as the one who I thought really was attempting to bring America together and came across as the only presidential person on that stage.
I don't think that his fan base, and I say fan
Mm.
base because they are fans
Yes,
of his, care anything about being bipartisan or
I agree.
being
I agree.
fair or being presidential. They just want him to win. So it doesn't really matter what he said or didn't say.
Mhm.
Those people are already locked in. I'm more concerned for the swing voters and the
Independents.
people who are
Independents.
undecided, and I'm
Yeah.
trying to figure out where they stand as of today.
Okay.
I know that he turned the Haitian community off. There's been some talk around the Haitian population and how they encompass a lot of the areas that are undecided. And to say that a community of people are out eating cats and dogs, and when you're fact checked in the moment, you still push the narrative. The moderator said that the city manager said that there's no evidence of anybody eating cats and dogs in the community, and he literally was pushing back, saying, "Well, people said it, you know." And so even when he was asked for a plan, he has no plan. He has concepts of a plan, but he has no plan. And he made the statement that, well, he's not president, he shouldn't have to have a plan. Well, neither is she. She's the
Correct.
vice president, but you're the former president. So if you want to be the president, surely you should have a plan. And speaking of plans, the presidential nominee for the Democratic Party released her plan.
Correct.
So on abortion, she says she will never allow a national abortion ban to become law. And when Congress passes a bill to restore reproductive freedom nationwide, she will sign it.
Correct.
On cost of living, she said she will fight to cut taxes for more than 100 million working and middle-class Americans while lowering costs of everyday needs. She will fight to raise the minimum wage and sub-minimum wages for tip workers and people with disabilities, establish paid family medical leave, and eliminate taxes on tips, which is important, especially in a state like Louisiana,
Sure, it's a
city
county.
like New Orleans, right? On guns. She'll ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines, require universal background checks, and support red flag laws that keep guns out of the hands of dangerous people. She will also continue to invest in funding law enforcement, including the hiring and training of officers. On the Israel-Gaza war, she and President Biden are working to end the war in Gaza such that Israel is secure, the hostages are released, and the suffering in the Gaza ends, and the Palestinian people can realize their right to dignity, security, freedom, and self-determination. On the climate, she says, as president, she will unite Americans to tackle the climate crisis as she builds on the Inflation Reduction Act, advances environmental justice, protects public lands and public health, increases resilience to climate disasters, lower household energy costs, create millions of new jobs, and continues to hold polluters accountable. On immigration, she will bring back the bipartisan border security bill and sign it into law. For civil rights, as president, she'll fight to pass the Equality Act to enshrine anti-discrimination protections for LGBTQI plus Americans in healthcare, housing, education, and more into law.
Doc, let me jump in just for 1 second, 'cause one of the statements you made, I think, is really important, and I think we really need to pay close attention to it. When we talk about this whole issue of dealing with importation and people at the border, my understanding is that you had a group of Democrats and Republicans, a bipartisan group who came together, who fashioned a bill that really would have solved the actual
He
problem.
wouldn't sign it.
He would not only would he not sign it, he told his folks that you don't sign it because if you sign that, that's going to hurt me running.
Well, she said that at the debate, and
Yes.
I took kind of like a pause when the moderators didn't push him to answer that because she brought that up at the debate, and she wanted to know. She even said it. You called folk in Congress and you said you threatened them basically, like you know, don't support this. But I just took like the whole civil rights part that focuses on LGBTQIA Americans. I'm okay with supporting people of all walks of life.
Okay.
But when we talk civil rights, I want to be very clear that issues that affect Black folk are paramount to what I want to understand about anybody that leads this country.
Yeah.
Because when you start to talk about civil rights and you put a focus in on one demographic or one specific group of people, by default, you're alienating other people. Yes, there are Black Americans who are a part of the LGBTQIA
Correct.
community, but there are also Black Americans who are suffering at the hands of police brutality, unequal laws, right? Unfair treatment, over policing, all of that thing, and I just didn't hear anything about that part. And I just want to know.
Doc, when I go back, I was a student at Southern.
It's called the
And even-
Equality Act.
The equality.
Mm-hmm.
Even back then, when I would look at, I guess, political races and see what was going on a nationwide basis, there were a lot of different issues and a lot of individuals who I consider to be single issue candidates. But for me, it was always concerning when you take a look at it. Where does a candidate stand on the issue of civil rights? I think for most well-thinking black folks, when you take a look at if you are not absolutely certain about the equality of the races, where we stand, what we do, the rights that everyone should have, regardless red, yellow, brown, black, or white. But the history of African Americans in this particular country is extremely important to make sure that you focus in on that. So I agree with you 1,000,000% on that. And when you look at someone like our former president who was at the debate the other night, there's just a strangeness. There's a weirdness about him. And we know what his track record is, not just from 2024, not just from 2020. We can go back 50 years and we see what this person has done. And that should cause pause for everyone who takes a look at that.
I mean, when you call for the execution of 5 innocent black men
Absolutely.
simply because you're a wealthy white man, and then you offer no apology, and even at the debate, you said that they pled guilty. That never
and take
happened.
out a full-page ad.
It never happens. And so for me, when we talk civil rights, in my opinion, when you uplift the least of us, you uplift the entire country. And black people have never seen an America that has uplifted their humanity. And so when you talk about civil rights and you omit the struggles of black people, black Americans, it gives me pause in terms of your Equality Act. Equality is not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for equity at this point. And so I'm home ownership. Harris has put forward a comprehensive plan to build 3 million more rental units and homes that are affordable to end the national housing supply crisis in her first term. And then on the issue of Project 2025, she spoke out against that at the debate, but there were no questions surrounding Project 2025. But she did get it in there and attach him to Project 2025.
Correct.
I am laser focused on Project 2025 for a number of reasons. As a woman, I don't want any policies or laws telling me, how I can operate with my body. And secondly, as an educator, I am very concerned about the possible elimination of the Department of Education. Because if that department goes, so does public schools and public education, which will also harm black children the most, right? Okay. And so for me, I'm just concerned about that. And I just also took a pause on nobody asked any questions about guns.
Correct.
She talked about it, but there were no moderator questions about guns.
Particularly with a school shooting just happening.
So look, we're going to answer OT. OT is on the phone. He must miss me too. Good morning, OT.
Good morning.
No, good morning, Dr. Wyatt, and good morning, Senator Bishop. Just calling the updates, up and at 'em, getting prepared for our briefing, then our 10 o'clock meeting, and then probably press conference after that. And just wanted to thank you guys for doing what y'all do, especially on WBOK, our station, the People's Station. So, just any questions about recovery, where we are. I think we're full go right now. Our tourism community is open, serving people every day. Bus lines are back to their normal routes. We have a few restoration or resource centers at Joe Brown, Treme, Cutoff, and one other location. I think one other location. I forgot the other location. But everybody back to work now.
Well, thank you for the update, OT. I miss you. Like, I haven't seen you in a couple of days. I absolutely miss you, and it's good to hear your voice. And thank you so much for what you do in your role as councilman here in the city of New Orleans.
And Energy is working. A lot of folk in the St. Roch area ought to be back on today. But throughout the state yesterday, man, it was, still about 400,000 people out. But the energy crews and the utility crews are working real hard to get folk back on.
And Councilman, I wanted to thank you. I know that on a few days ago, and it was announced by the mayor, but that very next day, I know you and a team of volunteers were at the Goretti site in New Orleans East. and gave out 1,800 sandbags. You personally were out there giving out 1,800
No, it
sandbags. The
it was
individual.
actually it was actually more than that.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah, we gave out over 2,000, man.
Right.
So it was really, really good, not just for our team, and I want to thank our team, and I did that at the press conference, but to have the St. Bernard Project volunteers come out, the
Absolutely.
Archdiocese and Goretti Church allow us to use the church. So people, even, and there were people who were waiting in line, right, who got out their cars if they were at the back of the line and came and helped us shovel sandbags. So it was a real team and community, but that's what it takes. You know, and like I said at the press conference that day, I
Well,
just wish that New Orleans could use the same type of collaboration and energy when it's not a storm, when it's not a disaster, because we're the best at coming together to help each other. But we need that kind of energy every day.
thank you so much, OT. We have to go to break. Will you come back on after the break, or
I will if I can. If not, I just wanted to continue to encourage y'all and thank y'all for what y'all do. And I appreciate you, Dr. Wyatt, to the fullest. And yes, I do miss you. And Senator Bishop, thank you for your service and thank you for what you do with my office, guys. Bless y'all.
thank you so
sir.
much. Thank you
Thank
for the update. On the other side of the break, we'll hear from Ghassan Corbin from the Sewage and Water Board at the 7:20 hour. This is WBOK, 12:30 a.m.
News you can listen to.
What the people are always talking about.
Discover the Leah Chase School, NOLA Public School's first new direct-run traditional public school in nearly 2 decades. We offer excellence in math, science, English, and social studies, focusing on unlocking every child's potential. Every scholar receives a personal device, regular assessments, clear family communication, as well as transportation services in a nurturing arts-inclusive environment. Secure your child's K through 5th grade slot today. Apply at enrollnolaps.com and embark upon a unique educational journey.
September is National Recovery Month and time to celebrate the millions of Americans in recovery. Metropolitan Human Services District wants to remind you that treatment is effective and everyone can recover. If you are looking for a recovery program and you live in the Orleans, St. Bernard, or Plaquemines Parish, visit mhsdla.org or call 504-568-3130. Recovery is possible, and MHSD is here to help. Metropolitan Human Services District, where we change lives.
Calling all college students. The National African American Insurance Association presents their free 2024 Career Fair and Expo September 17th and 18th. To register, go to naaia.national on Instagram and use the link in the bio.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation is the nonprofit organization that owns the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival presented by Shell. With the funds generated from Jazz Fest, the foundation invests in Louisiana companies through economic development, cultural enrichment, and free educational programs. To learn more about what the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation does, please visit www.jazzandheritage.org.
It's no secret that in New Orleans, we love good food just as much as we love our community. So why not make groceries while supporting local food producers too? Crescent City Farmers Market hosts year-round, rain or shine, where you can buy the region's freshest in-season produce, dairy, meat, seafood, and more. Using SNAP benefits at our market is easy, and with Market Match, you can double your dollars. Yes, that's right. Swipe your EBT card and we'll match every SNAP dollar, doubling your grocery budget so you can purchase more fresh fruits, vegetables, and food-bearing plants. Check us out on social media and visit us at marketumbrella.org for dates and locations. See you at the market.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK 1230 AM.
And we are back. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, New Orleans.
Listen, if you want to talk to Ghassan Corbin, the number here is 504-582-9422. Ghassan is from Sewage and Water Board. If you have any questions or commentary for Ghassan, the number here is 504-582-9422. Good morning, Ghassan. Are you there?
To you.
Good morning. How
Yes,
are you?
I'm here. Good morning.
Good
I'm
morning.
good. Thank you for having me today.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome. I mean, we're on the back end of Hurricane Francine, and I'm sure our listeners and our callers will have plenty of questions, or they're even listening for any commentary you can offer us in the wake of Hurricane Francine.
Absolutely. All in all, I believe we fared well with the storm. We are recovering from it, obviously, as we speak, recovering stronger. Our drainage system is ready to manage the next storm, so we're fully recovered in terms of power and pumping. Drinking water went uninterrupted during and after the storm, so that's business as usual. It's a very awesome responsibility for us to do that, deliver drinking water to your house uninterrupted. So that's a very good status. In terms of wastewater collection and treatment, we have one issue that we're working very feverishly on, restoring power and pumping at one of our main stations that take wastewater to the treatment plant. That's why we've been asking people for some conservation in terms of using large amount of water for maybe another day at the most. People have really been very responsive. We can tell the flow is on the low end, which is great because people are heeding to our requests. So we're very grateful for that. And we are doing everything we can to restore operation back to normal and ask everybody to resume their routine consumption. So hopefully by the end of the day today.
Well, can you elaborate on the nature of the power issues that impacted the pumping stations during the flash flood?
Of course. So as you know, we have multiple sources of power at our plant that we use, and I use the word cobble together to come up with enough power to generate enough power to drive any pump that we need. That's predominantly in the old part of the city, Industrial Canal to the west, where in the New Orleans East, for example, all the pumping stations are standalone and they're connected to Entergy. Pardon me. So as Algiers is also traditionally connected to Entergy power. So the one issue we had, one of the sources of power we had from the plant went down temporarily, and that impacted all in all about 6 pumps, 2 in each of 3 stations, for about maybe hour and a half or so. And then what the impact of that is our ability to drain the water that was standing for a while. So there was a period of time where water was standing. We never had any experience that caused the water to elevate or build up, but we probably was about an hour or so behind in draining that water down and get the city dry. And that was primarily the biggest issue we had throughout the storm.
Gassan, can you tell me, we got a couple of calls on yesterday. We asked particularly about the lower Ninth Ward. Can you tell me the status of sewage and water, particularly as any potential water rising? I don't think there's necessarily any flooding, but we got several calls on power being out and water beginning to be high in the lower Ninth Ward. Can you update us on that?
Well, I know we had extremely high intense rain, probably numbers that I haven't seen in a long, long while. We had about 4 inches of rain per hour, rains, on and off. And when that happens, all that water coming down at the same time, no matter what you do, even if your system is 100% perfect, there's just not enough catch basins in the world to just take that water down, and not enough pipes to carry that water instantly. So there's always, no matter what system, what city, that water is going to pool and stand for a while, waiting for, just basically the capacity of the pipe to carry it to our pumps. So our pumping really, all in all, was fine, except for the few exceptions here and there. And it was a function of the storm itself and the nature and the high intensity. And unfortunately, it's, every single drop that falls in our city has to be pumped, but it has to get to our pump before we pump it.
So, given the 7 inches of rain with an average of 2 inches per hour, how does this compare to the system's design capacity?
It's about double. So typically we can handle an inch of rain an hour, especially the first hour, and it kind of diminishes a little bit after that just because of the saturation of the soil, and then more runoff happens after that. So obviously the system then starts taking more. But so we say half inch for every hour thereafter. So anything beyond that really will start causing some pooling in the streets, and obviously the more and heavier and longer, the higher the water goes. So what we do in preparation of a heavy event is we drain the canals down to a certain level to allow to take on that storage, that first amount of rain that falls, as long as it can make its way. So we gain some capacity that way. But again, anything more than an inch typically would tax the system. And that's not unusual for really any typical design across any city in the United States. It's just a very, very standard design where streets sometimes are relied on to hold some water in the time being to allow the system to manage the rest of the water that had already entered.
Ghassan, let me ask you a question. I'm a native New Orleans. I've spent my entire life, and I can't think of any hurricane season where we didn't have, if not a hurricane, a potential hurricane scare or something that got in the Gulf that could potentially impact the New Orleans area. For this particular hurricane, Hurricane Francine, what lessons have we learned over the last few days that might improve whether or not there's another potential storm event this particular season or in seasons to come? Have you learned any lessons that's going to be able to improve the status of what we do during hurricane season?
Well, we learn that every hurricane is unique and brings its own set of challenges. You can predict and forecast all we want, but at the end of the day, whatever happens during the storm is what happens, and you manage it. Obviously, we are doing a lot of things to improve our ability to manage storm in a more resilient fashion and more dependable fashion. We're building a power complex that removes at least the weakness of the current system in terms of how vulnerable it is and how fragile it is, evident by, when you push it to its limit, something is likely to break down, albeit temporarily. So what we're doing for future hurricane seasons, our power complex we're building a substation, among other modern pieces of equipment that become the main source of power for much of our drainage pumps. And with that, you remove the risk of any failure from power. In this case, on Wednesday, the pumps were never the issue. So the pumps go down only because the power goes down. None of the pumps gave us any problems. They functioned. They pumped as designed and all. So we're taking the Achilles heel, so to speak, and solving that issue in the most permanent way possible. What we're building today and will deliver by mid-year next year is a system that's going to serve the city for the next 50 years.
So given the age and condition of the pumping equipment, what specific plans are in place to modernize the pumping system and improve its resilience?
So the pumps themselves can always be improved and renewed, but they haven't been our issue or our challenge. Some go down and we repair them, we put them back. We have a fleet of 97 large pumps that we rely on, and we have about 90 of those available today at a very good standing. And actual having pumps was never the issue. Like I said, we're focusing on the power supply. We want to focus also next on the middle part, which is the conveyance, the pipes, the catch basins, the small pipes, and the large diameter pipes, as well as canals. Some of those need to be cleaned. Some of those have to be, they're not running on full capacity because there's sedimentation in the middle of, in the bottom of the canals, taking away capacity in terms of conveyance and storage. So there's a lot of moving parts, but obviously we're going in the right direction, no doubt in my mind. The key priority for us next year when we take over the minor drainage system is to focus on catch basins in a very proactive way and touch at least 20% every year. So we'll have a 5-year cycle of cleaning and maintenance, robust maintenance of all those catch basins, because that's exactly where the bottleneck can exist in terms of allowing the water to go in the system so we can pump it.
So if our pumping stations or pumping equipment are not the issue, can you address the constant flooding on Old Gentilly Road?
Well, I'm not aware of a specific, if it's a chronic issue or not. I can tell you it is not a pumping issue. I'll have to look a little bit more closer at it, see what is causing that. But again, it's about, a couple drivers. If it's a, manageable, steady rain at about an inch an hour, and we're pumping, you should not have any flooding anywhere. I mean, that's just an equivocal statement. But what happens, you have to look at, is it one street versus, an entire area? If you're driving and you see one street underwater, but then adjacent streets are not, that's not a pumping issue. That's not a power issue. That's typically either a catch basin or pipe that is under that one block issue in terms of they're blocked, there's sedimentation, there's a breakage, whatever the case may be. So if you have the specifics, we're happy to take it offline and look at that and share any solutions with you.
Ghassan, can you touch on just a little bit? And this issue has come up and it's been played on the news a good bit. And I want to give you the opportunity to kind of address that. What does the age and condition of our pumping equipment here in the city, how does it affect the overall effectiveness of the system during emergencies like we just had?
Well, we have one of the oldest drainage systems. I mean, we are an old city. We're over 300 years old, and we've been in this business for that long in terms of draining the city to make it obviously first livable and thriving and the city that it is against many odds, quite honestly. So not only it's an old system, but it's also a very mechanical. Typically a city, you just have catch basins and pipes, and then they use gravity to just carry the water and outlet in a river or some lake. In our case, it's very mechanical. If we have one failure, that you're going to have an issue. And because they're old, they're likely to fail. That's why we are investing a significant amount of money in improving the power, because that's definitely a main ingredient in a successful drainage system. And the next focus is going to be on pumps, maybe adding some pumps in some areas, improving the canal conditions. And then lastly, we can't lose sight of the fact that we have a city that can use detention ponds and green space that could be allow water to be retained temporarily during a heavy event, which we can, potentially double the capacity, where you slow some of the water, capture it where it falls, and let the system handle, a lesser amount of rain, and then, at a subsequent time, drain that detention pond when the system can handle it. So there's a lot of things that we can do to improve how we manage water in the city.
Right. I really want Sewage and Water Board to look into the Old Gentilly Road issue, because we're being told that that's a huge elderly population. And when the water is there, it takes weeks for the water to reside, which trap those elderly residents in their homes for that amount of time until the water decides where it wants to go. So I would like for Sewage and Water Board to look deeper into that issue specifically. We have to protect our elders in this community. I have another question, though, Ghassan. What were the reasons behind the failure of the 5 EMD diesel generators used during the event?
So those are I would call them we brought them on at one point to be backup to our main generators or turbines, but because of other failures, in the generators themselves, we became more reliant on those. So we've been using them effectively during unnamed storms, when we're managing storms. What happened this week, those 5 EMDs rely on a piece of equipment. It's an auxiliary generator that provide oxygen and such to allow the EMDs to run efficiently and do their job. And that auxiliary piece of equipment faulted during the storm and causing all 5 EMDs to go down. And the consequence of that were 6 pumps, 2 in one of 3 pumping stations went down accordingly. But keep in mind that those pumping stations had other pumps that were powered from a different source that continued to operate. So no pumping station went entirely down, just 2 of the remaining pumps that kept pumping as needed. Obviously, we're looking at that piece of equipment. Ultimately, those will be decommissioned, meaning we're put aside and will never be used in the future once we have that substation and power complex completed by next year. So all these issues that we're having will go away starting next year, because we will not be relying on these finicky and clunky, to be honest with you, and fragile pieces of equipment.
Thank you, Gassan. We have a caller. James is online too. Good morning, James.
Good morning. Mr. Corbett, last week on WBOK, this audience was fortunate enough to have like an audit of funds that went out, and most of the bulk of the funds that went out went to you guys. Now I hear you saying it's a power situation. It's a power situation. The system is old and antiquated and highly mechanical. It's a power situation. Okay, what strategies do you guys have moving forward to rectify the mechanical, to take us away from those antiquated systems? And now do we have to subsidize a new form of generating power to all these pumps off the taxpayer dollars, or will you guys be utilizing that money that came from the federal government? I hang up and listen.
Thank you, James.
It's not a straight line in terms of what kind of funding we get and for what purpose. No federal or state agency will give us money without scrutinizing where that money goes and whether it serves the purpose and intent of that, whether it's a loan or a grant. So we've received, a significant amount of money from FEMA through a hazard mitigation grant program that we've been using since Katrina, actually, and we're finishing the last touches really on a couple key drinking water related projects, the water towers, all the new pumps that we've built to allow drinking water to enter the distribution system to be delivered to everybody's home. So that if that is the funding that is being asked about, that's fully related to those projects. And obviously the agency, FEMA, does continuous auditing, making sure that that money is serving the purpose of and the intent of the money. We also have other federal dollars, for example, and state dollars allowing us to do the power complex. That is, again, the agencies make sure that every I is dotted and every T is crossed in terms of where the money is going, how it's being spent, consistent with all federal, state, and local laws. So we have a lot of imposed, legitimately imposed auditing processes and scrutiny of how we spend our money. Again, our system is very mechanical. and every piece of that mechanical system has to work for us to be able to pump water out of the city, whether it's power, whether it's the pumps, whether it's the pipes. Everything has to be in working order, and one of those break down, then there's no pumping. So I don't know if I answered the question, but I mean, we're subject to a lot of auditing, and we have an open book documentation that, again, every penny that we spend has to be accounted for.
Well, Ghassan, thank you so much for your insight and updates on Sewage and Water Board. We know that the job you do is extremely hard to take care of a city, especially in the wake of a devastating hurricane. So thank you for what you do. Thank you for Sewage and Water Board, and thank you for the improvements you're attempting to make to our system so that our infrastructure can work the way that our taxpayers need them to work, specifically in crisis. So thank you for spending this time with us this morning. We appreciate you. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, Ghassan.
We have to go to
Thank
break.
Thank you.
But on the other side of the break, we're going to hear from Liberty Bank and Oshner. You're listening to WBOK 1230 AM. I'm Dr. Ashanta Wyatt.
Senator Wesley Bishop. News you can listen to. Wake Up New Orleans.
What the people are always talking about.
You might wonder, John Legend, how do you keep your voice sounding so legendary? Honey. And how do I keep my protection against COVID-19 up to date? With a COVID shot this season, designed for recent variants.
You can get your COVID-19 shot when getting your flu shot if you're due for both, as recommended by the CDC.
The fresher, the better.
Ask your healthcare provider about getting this season's COVID-19 shot when getting your flu shot.
Sponsored by Pfizer. Welcome back to school, families and scholars. NOLA Public Schools is excited to kick off another exciting year of learning, growth, and success. Our dedicated teachers have been preparing all summer to provide an engaging and enriching experience for every student. Let's embrace new challenges, celebrate achievements, and make this school year the best one yet. Stay connected with your school and NOLA PS by visiting our social media channels. Here's to a year filled with curiosity, creativity, and community. Attend today, achieve tomorrow.
New Orleans Burlesque is back. The Red Light District, located on the second floor of your New Orleans headquarters by Nice Guys, presents a captivating, international, award-winning burlesque experience that will leave you breathless. Indulge in the sounds of our Grammy Award-winning quartet and exceptional food pairings each and every Saturday. To purchase tickets, visit Eventbrite.com, and remember, what happens in the Red Light District stays in the Red Light District.
Welcome to Liberty Bank and Trust, where your financial journey transforms communities. Since 1972, our customized banking solutions power your dreams and fuel your community growth. Every dollar you invest with us circles back to empower more people, ensuring opportunities for generations. Join us at Liberty Bank. Together, we empower possibility. Visit libertybank.net to start banking with purpose. Liberty Bank, there's freedom here.
Ugh, I've been feeling so sluggish and just kind of blah.
Been there. That's why I take Align yogurt-coated probiotic fruit bites.
But I suppose they taste blah.
Actually, they taste delicious. It's an apple blueberry flavored center covered in a yogurt coating and is infused with probiotics to help support a healthy gut. They come 5 in a pouch. I just toss one in my bag and go.
Toss one in my bag?
Get your own.
New Align yogurt-coated probiotic fruit bites from the makers of the #1 doctor-recommended probiotic brand. Find them in the digestive care aisle.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK 1230 AM.
And we are back. Good morning, New Orleans. I am Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. In studio, I have Senator Wesley Bishop. And behind the glass, holding us both down, is Nyron. We want to thank Councilman Oliver Thomas for calling in and giving us an update. We also want to thank Ghassan Corbin for calling in and giving us an update on Sewage and Water Board. We're going to turn our attention now to soul singer Frankie Beverly. He passed away at age 77. And if I didn't know any better, I would have thought Frankie belonged to New Orleans.
Frankie is a quintessential New New Orleans, and I'm sitting here. We were talking off air a little bit earlier, and I had a chance to share. Strangely enough, and I guess it was maybe about 3 months ago, I went to my very first Frankie Beverly concert in a lifetime in New Orleans. I had never had a chance to attend, and a dear friend of mine called and invited me. I came on out to that concert, and I have to tell you, I was absolutely amazed to have someone as senior citizen as Frankie Beverly was, to have the share, to have the emotion, the passion, the energy. I mean, you got it. And if I didn't know it before, by seeing it at concert, and when you saw everybody in the entire Smoothie King Center all decked out in white, I mean, as an imitation of, and that, as a tribute to Frankie Beverly, knowing that it was his last concert or one of his last concerts, I mean, just really, it made my heart feel good to see that. And I have to say that I was a little sad, when he passed.
Well, listen, to know his music and to have lived in the same lifetime as him is such a blessing. And to get your flowers while you can still smell them is such a blessing. Because back in July, Essence Festival, the nation's largest annual celebration of Black culture, featured a special tribute to Frankie Beverly and Maze, the soul band that closed the event for the festival's first 15 years. And I also want to give a huge shout out to Tanya Boyd Cannon, because during his farewell tour, she was able to serenade him on the stage. And she was just singing, "We Thank You." And I mean, there is no better person here in this city to have done that other than Tanya Boyd Cannon. So shout out to her. But again, if I had not known where this man was born, I would have believed that he belonged to the city of New Orleans. Because if you think about white and you think about family cookouts and you think about the bus stop, you think about Frankie Beverly and Maze. So we lost a giant in our culture, musical culture, and Black history. He is a part of Black history. So, we want to honor his legacy. It's going to live on, of course. You can't have a cookout and you don't hear "Before I Let Go."
Mr. Before I Let Go. Absolutely. Absolutely. That song is ringing. I was actually on Facebook last night, and there's this gentleman, he's a violinist, and he did a violin tribute to Frankie Beverly and did a medley of his songs. And I sat and watched that and sent that out to a bunch of my friends. It's just a wonderful opportunity. And like I say, a piece of New Orleans, and New Orleans will never be the same. But, but we're glad that we had the opportunity to live in his lifetime, to hear what he had to say, and to make new. And not only did we adopt Frankie Beverly here in New Orleans, but Frankie Beverly adopted New Orleans.
He did.
And it always came across. And so thank you, my brother, for a job well done.
Yeah, again, I don't think many people know that he's a Philly native. Yeah. Because, again, I know if I know better, but if I didn't know any better, I would have thought that he was born right here in New Orleans. Might be right there in that 7th Ward.
7th Ward, it could be.
Right there in that 7th Ward. But the Philadelphia natives, that comes just weeks after Beverly finished a farewell tour this summer with Maze after announcing he would be stepping away from performing live. He previously announced the band will continue as Maze, honoring Frankie Beverly, with Tony Lindsay taking over as lead vocalist. So even though Frankie Beverly is no longer on this side of heaven with us, Maze will continue on, and Tony Lindsay will take the reins as the lead singer and honor Frankie as they move forward.
That is tremendous shoot to fill, and but we wish them well. They learned well. They were always a part of his entourage. And we just look forward to that. And I would like to situate, and I'm sure that Essence will, and that you'll see tremendous tributes throughout the entire country on what's going on. And just paying honor to a legend in his own time.
Yeah, it says he lived his life with pure soul, as one would say. And for us, no one did it better. He lived for his music, family, and friends. The Beverly family announced in a statement on the official Frankie Beverly and Maze Facebook page. So we honor you, Frankie. We honor you for everything that you mean to the city of New Orleans. Listen, and I'm hearing that they're going to have a national tribute to him. So on September 20th, which happens to be a national holiday because it's my birthday, everybody around the country is going to wear white in honor of Frankie. It's Virgo season. Shout out to the Virgos out there. But I'm sure that there's a second line being prepared for Frankie. I heard it's like Monday. in the city. That's what I'm hearing. Like, y'all could correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm hearing that the people of New Orleans are putting together a Frankie Beverly second line. So on top of him being honored the New Orleans way, the country is going to wear white on September 20th in honor of the passing of Frankie Beverly from Frankie Beverly and Mays.
Well, I look forward to being a part of that second.
Well, you got your white on already.
Ready,
I think
I'm
you're
ready,
a little bit early.
I'm ready. I'm
You
ready.
might have to put that thing in the cleaners and pull it back out on Monday.
Absolutely.
So you can wear it. Like, I'm not a big white wearer, but I have some white thanks to the all white little dinner thing that they used to have here in New Orleans. I don't know if that's going to come back, but I'll gladly put my white on my birthday.
Absolutely.
To honor Frankie.
I'm sure the brother who invited me to the concert will in fact be there. And strangely enough, and this is how I told you, this is my first concert with Frankie Beverly. I didn't know wearing what was something that you're supposed to do at Frankie Beverly's concert. I happened to wear all black. I stood out like a short.
Yeah, it was your first time.
Oh, yeah. They talked about me real bad.
They should have.
They
should have.
But I learned. I'll do better next time. And I'll make up for it at the second line.
Listen, there's two people that you know going to wear white. Okay. Frankie Beverly and Lisa Ray. Lisa Ray,
absolutely.
She puts white on and it's just her stamp. But yes, when the concert was here, I think people were told to wear white. So your friend that invited you, did he have on white?
He had on white,
now,
yeah.
see,
he didn't give me the memo. He didn't give me the memo. So, and he had on only white, but he also had the white baseball cap. So he was straight.
Yeah, he wanted people to know it was your first time.
But he gave me free tickets, so hey,
he can't complain.
I can't complain. He took care of me.
But yeah, if you've ever been blessed to see Frankie, it was truly a blessing. Like he performed up until the last of him. He gave us all he had. Yes. And even in his the last few concerts, you can kind of see that it was time for him to rest. But he gave us all he had, and we appreciate Frankie. We love Frankie here in New Orleans.
Absolutely.
We thank Philly for allowing us to adopt him and for him adopting the city of New Orleans. But I don't think of a cookout. I don't think of a bus stop. I don't think of any family gathering where you do not hear Before I Let Go. And then Beyonce put the little remix on it. So she brought Frankie back to the newer generation of people who are listening to music, the younger kids who are listening to music. And I think they think Beyonce created that song, but they don't know that she's paying homage to the legendary Frankie Beverly.
And it makes you feel so good when you see, I guess, younger actors, younger singers, younger entertainers to realize the impact that somebody like Frankie Beverly had on this country and on this generation, to be able to introduce them to this new generation that's actually out there. So it's something that we appreciate, something that we like, something that we're going to miss, but we also know it's something that's going to live on for decades and decades.
Absolutely. Shout out to Frankie and his legacy. On the other side of the break, we'll talk to Ann Duplessis from Liberty Bank. We'll also talk to Oshner at the 8 o'clock hour. So join us after the break, WBOK 1230 a.m.
News you can listen to, New Orleans. Wake up.
What the people are always talking about.
WBOK 1230 a.m. New Orleans. Home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans.
I'm Doug Davis with the latest from the Black Information Network. Louisiana's bracing for Hurricane Francine. It remains a Category 1 storm with maximum sustained winds of 90 miles per hour. The storm is expected to make landfall very soon, bringing with it life-threatening storm surge and dangerous winds. 3 judges are recusing themselves from a case involving Fulton County's Black District Attorney. Bonnie Willis is fighting subpoenas requiring her to testify before a state Senate committee this week. It's connected to her relationship with a former special prosecutor, Nathan Wade, in the 2020 election interference case. People who have ample money and health insurance may be less likely to take their own lives. The CDC released a report showing that counties where people had lower levels of health insurance, broadband internet access, and income had higher suicide rates. The suicide rate among Black Americans has been on the rise since 2018. And that is the latest. I'm Doug Davis from the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Celebrating hardworking teachers of New Orleans Public Schools is what we do best. Join New Schools for New Orleans, Allstate, Sugar Bowl, and Integer New Orleans in recognizing and celebrating the Teachers of the Year at our 3rd annual New Orleans Excellence in Teaching Awards Gala. If you want to check out the awardees and the schools where they teach at, please visit Noeta, NOETA.org. You can also purchase tickets to the gala via the website too. Let's send these teachers some love for all the hard work they do with our students.
Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, New Orleans, and we are back. I am Dr. Ashanta White in studio with me.
State Senator Wesley Bishop, glad to be here once again, and Dr. White holding it down in the absence of City Councilman Oliver Thomas.
Listen, you know, it's so easy when you have somebody that just know how to just feel on in there, huh?
Yeah.
Behind the glasses, Nyron always holding us down, and we have a special guest in studio with us, Andrew Plessis, Senior Vice President
Senior
of Liberty
Vice
Bank.
President.
I had to put some heavy respect on Senior because we work hard for our credentials around here. Good morning,
Good
and thank you for being here. You look beautiful, too.
Thank you.
So we want to talk all things Liberty Bank with you. The floor is yours.
Well, great. Thank you. Listen, thank you for having me. And I'm so excited to be with my dear friend and colleague, Senator Wesley Bishop. We've had a lot of tense moments together at the Capitol and a lot of good moments together at the Capitol. So you know, Liberty Bank, I'm sure, hopefully most people who are listening in know who we are, but I'm going to give you a little background. We have been around over 52 years. Liberty Bank was chartered here in New Orleans, but we have grown and we're in over 11 states with physical locations, 18 branches. But, you know, our reach goes worldwide. We are pleased that we have allowed technology to play a major role in helping us expand our reach. So, you know, you can bank with us wherever you are. Through the use of online banking. But our president, which I'm so excited about, Todd McDonald. So as you know or may not know, Mr. Alden McDonald was our CEO and president for the first 50 years of our existence. And he is, I'm not going to say was, he is phenomenal as it relates to the leadership and growth that he has provided to the bank. 2 years ago, when we celebrated our 50th year anniversary, Mr. McDonald turned over the realm of presidency to Todd McDonald, who's been with the bank over 20 years as well. And Todd is bringing in such a new and fresh and innovative vision for the bank, so for the next 50 plus years. So we're excited to see what happens.
But Liberty Bank is not just a bank, it's a community partner, correct?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, we provide the services, we provide the products that a bank should provide for individuals. But I think it goes a lot deeper than just providing products and services to the communities that we serve. We provide passion. We provide clear understanding of the issue that an individual may be facing. You know, when we talk about how, you know, people will ask, well, how do I qualify? What are your qualifications for a loan? Honestly, the biggest qualification we're looking for is that you're able to pay us back. You know, credit score and all of those things are important. We have to look at that because it does give an indication of your ability to pay us back. But we've been able to look at individual communities and determine what the persona or the profile of that community is. And all of the time, that community may not be made up of people with 800 Beacon scores, right? And so do we not provide services? Do we not lend money or give access to credit to individuals just because life happened? So I think we delve deeper into into the needs of the people we serve in our communities, and we try and create opportunities.
Well, as the nation's largest Black-owned bank headquartered here in New Orleans, I'm happy you guys are here because, as you say, life happens. Life be life.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
I like that.
Life be
Life be
life.
lifing.
Yes.
And sometimes things happen to us that we're not necessarily prepared for, and we have to proverbially rob Peter to pay Paul. So it's refreshing to know that there are banks out there that respect the fact that life happens
Right.
and people deserve another chance to have a fiscal future.
Absolutely.
Right?
Senator Duplessis, that's like Dr. Wise said a second ago, Liberty is a community partner. And at no time could you ever think about that in light of what just occurred with the weather event that we had. Can you talk a little bit about how Liberty Bank, what it does, for its history dealing with natural disasters, and what you guys provide for in the emergency time here in the city of New Orleans?
During a time where there's a natural disaster, a hurricane, a significant weather event, and honestly, as I said, we're not only here in Louisiana, but we're in 11 different states. But during this time, historically, we have been in a leadership and have taken a leadership role in ensuring that the people in our community are able to recover, able to have access to what is needed when there are events like this and situations that are uncontrollable. I'm going to give you an example during Katrina. Katrina, of course, was the worst natural disaster to happen, I don't know, in the world, but specifically here in Louisiana. But during that time when our families, when our employees were scattered all over the world, when they didn't have access to their funds in the accounts, Liberty Bank opened the vault and said, "Use your ATM. We'll deal with it later. Get the money you need. We'll deal with the getting it back later." We were at the forefront. Mr. McDonald took a lead in saying, in developing a campaign, we're coming home, and that provided such an energy and such an enthusiasm for people to say, hey, people care. Liberty Bank cares, and they're making a way. We provided loans to get people in homes all over the world. People were stranded. We didn't know when and how we were going to get back to New Orleans. And so for our customers, we opened the door and we says, okay, we're going to do 100% financing. We continue to be leaders in, as it relates to providing the access, providing resources when you need them and when you don't, so.
Well, there was a huge milestone in 2021 for Liberty Bank. There was $1 billion milestone.
Yes.
And a reinvestment of nearly $300 million into the communities
Yes.
in 2023. So when you talk about community partnerships and you talk about a fiscal institution that wants to reinvest and wants to uplift a community, I think Liberty Bank is leading the way, leading the charge for that. So thank you for that. And also, I want to talk about our new monthly segment focused on financial empowerment and the mentioning the partnership between Liberty Bank and WBOK. So that's wonderful that you'll come back,
Yeah.
you or someone from Liberty
Yeah.
Bank, and talk to us about financial empowerment. A lot of us need that. When I talk about education being the foundation for everything, financial literacy is super important, especially in communities that are living paycheck to paycheck. There's a way to have fiscal freedom if we know what to do and how to invest our money.
Absolutely. The term financial freedom, financial literacy, that's a term. That's, I think what we do is give relevant information.
Yes.
Right? And how that information impacts you individually. Because each one of us have a different scenario.
Yes.
Our scenarios are not the same, right? And so we don't seek to give a blanket, template of information about financial literacy or financial empowerment. It's got to be relevant to what you need at the time you need it, because you know what? Your needs change as well. And I think that's the beauty that we have found a way in this world of technology, in this world of people speaking to bots and robots and
AI.
chat and AI.
Yes.
And we've found a way to incorporate that to help us be more efficient, to help us be better and faster. But we're still people, and we're still people talking to people. We're still people helping people understand what you need when you need it.
Senator, I want to jump in for just a second. And we understand it all things hurricane-wise happens to be hurricane season. And I know that here in the city of New Orleans, in the state of Louisiana, insurance is critical.
Yes.
It's an issue that we dealt with in the legislature and continue to deal with in the legislature. You know, you guys have a full-service insurance division.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that? I guess I got to give a shout-out to Ramona Logan.
Yeah.
Ramona Logan has been my insurance agent for many years.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yes, she is. And
She is.
that speaks to a lot of the staff we have at Liberty. Tenured, long time, and phenomenal. From Ramona just recently retired, but she's still with us. She's still, is hanging around with us and continuing to give us guidance. But yes, we are, it's a little known fact, we have a wonderful insurance agency that's been around over 30 years. And the beauty, again, of that agency is that we have a dedicated team of folk who will work with you to determine what is the best type of insurance for you. I mean, I think that if nothing else, you give us a call to try and see if the current coverage you have is sufficient, right? And if it is, it's good. You need at this point, as we transition through whatever this is we're going through with insurance rates, it is important to really have a real partner that can sit with you and look at the coverage you have, look at your lifestyle, look at your assets, and guide you in what works best. Because the worst thing to do is to be underinsured. A lot of times people will take take the cheap or least expensive route, which is not good. You're wasting money, right? So I think it's important to just have that check, that insurance check, that risk check, to ensure that you are adequately insured, and then you make the decision, right, based on information that's relevant.
So can you give us a broad overview of the services Liberty Bank offers?
Absolutely. So we are a bank that offers for our small business and a major corporation. We offer small business loans. We have SBA loans. We have a phenomenal program for our small businesses called the Lightning Loan, which is a loan that's up to $50,000, and it's have very flexible underwriting guidelines. Of course, we have consumer loans. We are the leader in mortgage lending. So if you're looking for a mortgage loan or a HELOC, second mortgage, a home equity loan, please give us a call. The beautiful thing is you don't have to come into a branch if you don't want to, right? All of our products and service can be accessed online at www.libertybank.net. So you go online and you get all of the information if you don't want to speak to a person that you need, and then actually complete application, and we can do everything electronically.
And can you touch on just a little bit? I know a lot of individuals look to refinance properties.
Yes.
As interest rates go up, go down. Are those services that you guys provide?
Absolutely. Refinance is one of our major products that people, as insurance rates, as interest rates fluctuate. Of course, we look to, it's better to refinance.
Okay.
People who are in variable rate type products. It's great to refinance. So, yes, absolutely, we do provide that service. The one thing I forgot to mention was our Visa card. Our Visa card. Now, let me ask you a question. What if your Visa card or your credit card? Give me an idea of what your rate is. 18?
Too high.
20%?
Yeah.
Too high.
Our credit card starts at 9.96. The highest is 15, unless you're really, really bad, and then you're at 18. But that's after you've had a card with us and been delinquent for about 6 months. But we have a fixed rate credit card at 9.96. That's a fixed rate. That's not a variable rate. That's not a introductory rate. So when you're talking about financial freedom, when you're talking about being economically smart with your money, all of us need to use credit, right? At some point in time. The key is how expensive is that credit, and how, and so the goal is to look for opportunities or those types of vehicles out there, like a credit card, which is a great resource in a storm, in a natural disaster, when you don't have the cash, but you need to have a credit card to book that hotel or to book that whatever it is you need to book, or just to have some cash because we may not have that slush fund set aside. A low-rate Visa card is a wonderful tool to use, but in the regular refinance, those 18%, those 21, go home. I give everybody homework. Go home and go online, look at your statements for the credit cards you have, and look at how much interest you're paying. That means every month the credit card company is adding another $100, $200, $300 just in interest. It's nothing you bought, just in interest.
Let me ask you one quick question, and that being that, for young people, one thing when I think back about when I was in college, not really knowing much about credit card, things along those lines, and I'm thinking about the 7 to 8 universities right here in the city of New Orleans. How would you recommend, I guess, to a young person who is trying to get financially straight, to plan their financial future? What are some of the things that they can be doing now to try and prepare themselves?
I think the first thing is a young person needs to get a checking account or establish some type of relationship with a bank. Our young folk now are very much into cash apps and those types of, which are convenient, right? But I think that the first thing they should do is to establish themselves at a bank, right? As it relates to credit, I'm not sure if I would suggest going out getting a whole lot of credit cards, especially during this time, because it's very difficult for young folk to be disciplined. And so you get yourself into more trouble. Now, another way that a person can try and get themselves established, as they're matriculating through college, is if their parents say, I'm going to buy them a car, then let them get added on to the account or to the loan as a co-borrower. That helps to begin establishing credit when mom and dad is actually paying the bills, right? And so those are ways that you can begin. But I think that, as they are closer to getting income from a job, we start to look at ways to have them build credit.
Well, the people want to talk to you,
Okay.
Ms. Duplessis.
All right, I'm
so
ready.
We have Don online too. Good morning, Don. You're on with Ann Duplessis, Senior Vice President of Liberty Bank.
Good morning, Don.
Good morning to you all. And it would be a travesty if Dr. Norman C. Francis, President Emeritus, or even the President, Alden McDonald, has not been king of Zulu. I just and I mean that
That might be a
sincerely.
bad idea.
That may not be a bad idea. I'll pitch it when I get back to the office.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. And I appreciate the good sister in finance and banking, which is very critical to our community, the lifeblood of our communities. Let me ask a question. First of all, a comment on the two candidates. One is the presidential candidates. One has said he's a businessman, not a politician, and he questioned the other candidate's heritage. Is she black or whatever? But if you look at the wealth distribution in this country, white folks have 8 to 10 times the wealth of black folks, okay? But if you look at Kamala Harris, her father's black, her mother's East Indian. If you look at the East Indian wealth accumulation, it's 2.5 times that of whites. So white folks have $216,000 in family wealth, where the East Indians, which is part of Kamala Harris's heritage, has over $500,000. So I think the best business person and East Indians run more corporations, Fortune 500 corporations, and have more businesses, small businesses, than any other group as a percentage. They just have a low percentage of population. But they are business acumen. They teach their children business acumen. Absolutely. And so my question is, New Orleans I grew up in was business acumen. You had people own corner grocery stores, dry cleaners, you name it. They owned car wash. Law firms. What has New Orleans done, and what has the banking community, since with Liberty Bank, one of the great banks of the financial institutions of the world, how do we continue to promote not just the issue of private and personal access to wealth, but business access to wealth? Since there's over 1 million small black micro-owned businesses, black-owned businesses, and many of them are sole proprietorship. How do we make New Orleans and the financial community have a seat at the table, more business-friendly to those who are micro businesses, and not run them away from the creation that is our culture?
Absolutely.
If that makes sense.
That's an excellent question. And can I just say, I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge Dr. Norman C. Francis, who is actually the chairman of our board and has been since day one. So I'm sorry that I didn't do that initially. But I think you bring up a really good thought. And a comment. I think that what we have done at Liberty Bank is to try and attack that issue where we can by creating loans like the Lightning Loan that I spoke to you about. That is a loan for those micro businesses that makes it easier. Because we're not looking for in that loan financial statements. We're not looking for 3 or 4 years of tax returns. Initially, we're looking for your ability based on what the plan that you're bringing to us. That I'm a barber and I need to buy. I want to start. I've just finished barber school and I want to go and start my clientele and start my small business, but I need $5,000 to buy all the equipment that I have. That's the perfect person that begins that. But the other thing we have to do, the bank itself cannot do it alone just by providing products. That's a huge part of it, but there has to be a collaborative effort between municipality, the city, to make it easier for companies to do business in this city, right? And we have to encourage our major corporations to create diversity and equity type programs that allow access to the opportunities that are out there. So I think that it's not a one shot open the doors and give someone a loan, but I think it should be a collaborative initiative that touches all of the things that impact a small business not being able to do business here.
Well, if you have questions for Ms. Duplessis about your financial situation, if you want to share your story with us, the number to call is 504-582-9422. In studio is Ann Duplessis, Senior Vice President of Liberty Bank. I have Wesley Bishop, Senator Wesley Bishop, co-hosting with me, and I'm sitting in for the incomparable Oliver O.T. Thomas. Can you share with us, before we go to break, some of the products that you offer at Liberty Bank that some lay people like myself might not know? Because we know banks have the loans and things of that nature, but are there products that we should know about that we probably on average don't know about?
Well, again, we have all of the major products and the normal products that you would expect. We have checking accounts, we have saving accounts, investment type money market accounts, which are pretty good for your immediate saving needs. We have, again, when you're looking at the borrowing, right? We have very low interest consumer loans, very low interest. I mean, if you're coming out of college or you've been in the workforce for a minute and you're now starting to revisit your the debt that you have, we have debt consolidation loans, which are extremely good in helping individuals to again reduce that interest expense that they're paying out, and then to consolidate and have better what we call cash flow. Every month you have a little bit more in your pocket, to spend on the things that you need and that you want.
That is so important. Like I am grateful that there's a bank that looks to represent people like myself.
Yes.
Right. And especially when we talk about life happening.
Yes.
And people being able to create fresh starts even after they've kind of fallen off the financial wagon. So I think Liberty Bank's position here in the city is integral, and it's needed and it's necessary.
And I know we mentioned Dr. Francis and we've mentioned Alden McDonald, but we need to talk about a little bit more, because Alden McDonald is an icon
Yes.
in the black community, but also in the banking community nationwide. I was at that 50th anniversary and had a chance to take a look at that and see what that was. And we talked a lot about what Liberty has done, and much of what you do behind the scenes.
Right.
And I want to say this.
Yeah.
This is, you have about 5 minutes.
Okay.
I want to give the floor to you. We don't want to interrupt with any more questions. So anything you think we need to know, how to reach you, how to contact any representative at Liberty. So in addition to Senator Bishop's question, the floor is yours for the last 5 minutes.
Okay.
So share with us whatever you need to before you leave us.
Okay, Senator.
Yes, and just everything that you guys have been doing. I was talking about how much of what you do behind the scenes, and you could talk a little bit about that. And that's just, and I just think of so different things, and almost there probably isn't an issue or a movement in the city of New Orleans over the last 20, 30 years that Alden McDonald either was not a part of or did not lead.
Absolutely.
And that's business-wise, politics, education, along those lines.
Absolutely.
So you can talk a little bit about that and kind of how that comes together and how you guys continue to provide a lead here in the city of New Orleans.
You're absolutely right. I mean, Mr. McDonald, I've worked with the bank almost 30 years now, and I have just been in awe the entire time. And, just from his leadership, his tenacity. He's an icon here in New Orleans and Louisiana, but I have seen him as being a leader and a force nationally, with the FDIC and as they come to him, with federal regulators who come to Liberty Bank for guidance and for insight on how we do what we do so good. But what I want to do is just spend the next 2 seconds or however much I have is talking about the future, how the excitement of Todd, McDonald taking over as president. Todd, and really how lucky we are that we have the history and the guidance and the experience still of Mr. McDonald, of Dr. Norman Francis, who continues to give us guidance, right? And because although we look forward, we have to understand the past. We have to understand the mistakes that have been made so we don't make them in the future. So Todd is bringing innovation. He's bringing technology. He's bringing, I think, what we're going to need going forward in banking, and so and then this relationship with WBOK. We are so excited to now have a platform that we can reach our community, and WBOK also has been historic. And it's providing resources and being leaders in the community with information, and that's I think the key. That is the most important aspect of all of this. And we talked earlier about collaborative relationships. This collaboration with WBOK allows us to begin to continue, I guess, have a platform to talk about what is needed. And what is relevant, to talk about the future not only of our city of banking, but how to get to it, how to access it, and how to make it relevant to you. Listen, I want to give you a number. Of course, you can go to our website, which is www.libertybank.net, and it will give you all of the information you need. Telephone numbers are there, but if you simply want to give us a call, you can call our customer care number, which is 800-883-3943, 800-883-3943, and let them know that you heard me on the radio and you need to ask me a question or you need some guidance on any other topic, and our customer service reps will be happy to help.
Because we know life be lifing.
Life is life,
Your
and I like
financial
it.
and fiscal needs and
I like
questions,
that. Life be
please
lifing.
give
I
Liberty
like
Bank
that.
a call. On the other side of the break, we will hear from a representative from Ocean, but we want to thank Ann Duplessis, Senior Vice President of Liberty Bank. I am Dr. Ashanta Wyatt.
And I am State Senator Wesley Bishop. Happy to talk to former State Senator Ann
This has
Duplessis.
been
Thank
fun.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So after the break, we'll hear from Ashna, WBOK, 1230 a.m., what New Orleans is talking about.
About news you can listen to.
Start your day off right.
Just getting your day started.
Early morning gospel on WBOK 1230 a.m.
I'm Daryl Forges with WDSU News, and here's your headlines. Right now, hundreds of thousands of people across southeast Louisiana are waking up without power. Power has been restored for thousands of Entergy and Cleco customers, but so many still remain. Large areas still remain in red. In the metro area, Jefferson and Orleans parishes both have more than 10,000 customers without power. On the North Shore, more than 7,000 Entergy customers are without power in Tangipahoa Parish. Some can expect their power on by sometime today, while others may have to wait until Saturday. Several school districts across the area are also closed. They include all of NOLA Public Schools, Jefferson Parish Public Schools, Lafourche and Terrebonne Parish Schools. Today, DePaul Community Health Center in New Orleans is partnering with Second Harvest Food Bank to also give out free groceries today. So starting today at 9 a.m. this morning is when a drive-through pantry will kick off right here at the DePaul Community Center. Again, at 9 o'clock this morning is when the drive-through food giveaway will start, and it will last until that food runs out. And it's all happening in the Carrollton Street Center at 3201 Short Street. Also, with thousands of families still in the dark in Kenner and unable to cook, a local church is rolling up their sleeves and serving meals, making sure people don't go hungry. Right now, Christ of the King Church will serve food starting at 9 a.m. The church is located at 1405 West Esplanade Avenue. I'm Daryl Forges, and that's your headlines for WBOK.
Welcome back to school, families and scholars. NOLA Public Schools is excited to kick off another exciting year of learning, growth, and success. Our dedicated teachers have been preparing all summer to provide an engaging and enriching experience for every student. Let's embrace new challenges, celebrate achievements, and make this school year the best one yet. Stay connected with your school and NOLA PS by visiting our social media channels. Here's to a year filled with curiosity, creativity, and community. Attend today, achieve tomorrow.
A message from the community scientist. Do you live or work in St. James, St. John, St. Charles, Ascension, Calcasieu, Baton Rouge, or St. Bernard parishes? If so, it's important for you to understand objective information about 1,3-butadiene, volatile organic compounds, methane, and mercury, and how they impact your health and the natural environment. The Community Scientist is a service program of Rise St. James. Learn more at risestjames.org.
New Orleans, get ready for the Big Health Event, a free event presented by the Urban League of Louisiana. Come see how health and wellness can lead to life-changing results for you and your family. Don't miss the Big Health Event on September 14th, sponsored by Ochsner Health.
The Big Health Event is this Saturday, September 14th, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Montreal Convention Center. Don't miss out on the free school supplies, free uniform vouchers, free gym shoes, and more. Also, there's free parking in Lot F. For more details, visit urbanleague.org. See you there. Welcome to Liberty Bank and Trust, where your financial journey transforms communities. Since 1972, our customized banking solutions power your dreams and fuel your community growth. Every dollar you invest with us circles back to empower more people, ensuring opportunities for generations. Join us at Liberty Bank. Together, we empower possibility. Visit libertybank.net to start banking with purpose. Liberty Bank, there's freedom here.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK 1230 AM.
back. I am Dr. Ashanta White. In studio, I have
Senator Wesley Bishop. Wake up, New Orleans. Good to be here.
And behind the glass, holding us down, is Nara. Hey, Jared. And Jared is also here. We want to thank the Senior Vice President of Liberty Bank, Ms. Ann Duplessis. And we want to also thank Gaston Corbin from Sewage and Water Board. The City of New Orleans announces additional post-Hurricane Francine resources that are available. The emergency resource centers are as follows: Rosenwald Recreation Center, 1120 South Broad Street. Spanish interpretation is available. Oxygen exchange is also available. Cutoff Recreation Center, 6600 Belgrade Street. Oxygen exchange is available. Joe Brown Recreation Center, 5601 Reed Boulevard. Tremay Recreation Center, 900 North Village Street. Spanish interpretation available. Oxygen exchange is also available. If oxygen is needed outside of the listed hours, residents can contact the New Orleans Police Department non-emergency line at 504-821-2222. Community lighthouses. Together New Orleans has activated the following community lighthouse locations and cooling and device charging: Bethlehem Lutheran Church, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., 1823 Washington Avenue. Broadmoor Community Church, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., 2021 South Dupree Street. First Grace UMC, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., 3401 Canal Street. Trinity Community Center, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., 3908 Joliet Street. Many of these sites still need volunteers. If you would like to volunteer at a community lighthouse, sign up at www.togethernola.org/storm_response.
Right. And on this morning, our next guest is here for a major event that's coming up soon. Ms. Tanya Moore, who serves as the Director of Community Engagement at IL. Dr. Moore, good morning.
Good morning, Ms. Moore.
Thank you for having me. Good morning to both of you. Hope you're well.
Great. Ms. Moore, tell us about the Big Healthy. Tell us what's going on with that, and tell us who your partners are.
Okay, sure. So we are excited to bring the Big Health event tomorrow, Saturday, September 14th. It's a one-day free holistic health event that prioritizes basically everything that encompasses healthy living, and wellness for the entire family. So it is, look, we went to the convention center on yesterday just to make sure things were going as planned. And so, look, it is going to be a wonderful event. Some of our main partner, of course, is the Urban League of Louisiana. And we're working with other community partners and to help make this event a success. So we are excited. We know we're coming off, we're in recovery mode, but this actually may be a great opportunity for people to come out. We have several panels that we'll be talking about mental health, health equity, food insecurity. Those are big issues and topics. And we also have a survivors panel. We'll have some cooking demonstrations from wonderful chefs in the local area, such as Chef Lenora Chung, Chef Rain Truth, of course, Erica with Diva Dog, and so, and then the fitness. So, because it's time for us to start moving around. We'll have great fitness opportunities, the movement zone, and this year that's new is the Ochsner Children's Zone, which will feature STEM NOLA, but it's definitely a lot that we'll have.
Now, Ms. Moore, you said a word that's near and dear to my heart when you said STEM NOLA. As you know, I went to McDonald 35 with the incomparable Dr. Calvin Mackey, who's doing phenomenal things here in the city of New Orleans. He's been recognized nationwide and traveled the country on behalf, and is always an ambassador for the city of New Orleans. But when you talked about the events that you're having for children, in no place else but Ochsner could you actually do that. I'm sitting here reading your bio, and it mentions that Ochsner's Children has been recognized as the #1 hospital for kids in Louisiana for 3 consecutive years. Kudos to Ochsner. You guys have always been community partners doing a lot of phenomenal things. I see you everywhere, not just in the health field, but in higher education, with the legislature. So I know you've been busy doing a great deal. I also need to give a shout out to another young man who's a resident of New Orleans East, a resident of District E, and represents Ochsner in fine fashion. And that's Matt Broussard. I see him everywhere that we are.
Yes.
And he does a great deal. Talk a little bit about how Oshner is involved in the community.
So, look, first, when you said Matt, shout out to Matt because everybody knows Matt, and he's essential to this team and making sure that we're in the community and where we're supposed to be. So part of the reason we are in the community, and look, you know, when we were going through the COVID-19, time, we saw a lot of things that, were started to unfold. And of course, part of that is we realized that we needed to do more education, more outreach in communities to talk about health. Like, what is health? Health isn't just eating healthy. It's not about, just going to the doctor, but it's also about workforce development. It's about having healthy communities. It's about public health issues such as, ensuring appropriate mental health resources, and public safety is also, part of that as well. So some of the things that we've been doing, we also have what's actually required, a community health needs assessment. And we looked at that assessment, which is actually provided through community members and organizations who work closely with communities. And some of those needs that we identified were access to care, quality care, follow-up, affordability, of medication, things like that, and really just understanding what the dimensions of all of that led to. So what we started doing was looking at different segments and really coming out. So besides the big health event, which, what we're here to talk about, we started, looking at other communities and saying, let's do health and wellness days. Let's focus on Black men's health. Let's look at women's health. Let's look at children. So just educating communities of the need of having a primary care physician, not waiting to until, issues become worse and end up in the emergency rooms and increasing that cost of care. So, that's part of, our relationship and purpose and need to be in community so that we offer free health screenings and testing so you know where your numbers are, because that's very important and key as we start to improve our health.
And Ms. Moore, I'm also reading this information, and I need to make sure that you guys get credit for all that you do. What I'm looking at says that Oshner Health is the leading not-for-profit healthcare provider in the Gulf South. But more so than that, for the last 12 consecutive years, the U.S. News and World Report has recognized Oshner as the #1 hospital in Louisiana. That says a great deal to what you do. You can't turn a corner without seeing an Oshner somewhere in the city of New Orleans. And I think that says a lot about what you guys do and the kind of services that you're providing here in the city of New Orleans and in this Gulf South area.
And we appreciate that recognition. And I think it goes back to why we're doing the big health event. If you're going to be a top healthcare system such as Oshner, we want to make sure that, again, we're giving back by hosting big health events, right? It's a, all-day event focused on health. Where else can you go and just get everything? We're doing flu shots, updating COVID vaccines are those who need to get them. We have children's pediatric flu and immunizations that will be provided, and just other things. We have also, one of the things that Louisiana struggles with, we still have high cancer rates in the state. And so our MD Anderson cancer team will be there. So from looking at kidneys, from breast and mammogram education and health, we're going to be looking at lung capacity. I'm talking things that you may not be able to get otherwise. We're going to have tomorrow at the convention center, and we will be there from 10 to 3. So the entire family can take part in the event. So besides your regular things like blood pressure and cholesterol and glucose, definitely need to know those biomarkers.
Well, we definitely want to
Looking at-
talk more with you after the
Okay.
break. We're talking to Tanya Moore, Director of Community Engagement for Ochsner Health, and she's talking to us about the big health event that will be held Saturday, September 14th, 10 to 3 at the New Orleans Ernest M. N. Morial Convention Center. Return after the break. This is WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about.
This is your news update for WBOK 1230 AM from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Post-tropical cyclone Francine is now in Arkansas. Today, winds will be more calm and we'll see more sunshine. Today is also mostly dry with highs in the mid to upper 80s. The weekend also looks amazing. Expect mostly dry conditions for both Saturday and Sunday with highs in the mid to upper 80s. More dry weather ahead with slightly below average temperatures. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
Did you know your life insurance is an asset you can sell? I'm Jay Jackson, CEO of Abacus Life. For almost 20 years, Abacus has been purchasing life insurance policies from seniors just like you. And at abacuspays.com, we've created a free policy value calculator so you can find out the worth of your policy in just seconds. There are no fees and no obligations. Get real value from your life insurance when you need it with Abacus. Learn more at abacuspays.com.
Did you know that Pepto-Bismol provides fast 5-symptom relief for nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, and diarrhea? Of course you do, because everyone knows the Pepto song. But did you know that Pepto also comes in convenient and delightful solid forms?
Pepto has very fast melts, cherry chewables, liquid caps that make relief easy.
Pepto makes relief on the go easy. So when you overdo it, undo it with Pepto. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Hello, I'm Gary Clark. Please tune in to Dr. Clark 101, The Living Classroom, which is broadcasted weekly every Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. on WBOK 1230 AM on your dial. And as always, it's been a pleasure.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, an on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
The New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation is the nonprofit organization that owns the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival presented by Shell. With the funds generated from Jazz Fest, the foundation invests in Louisiana communities through economic development, cultural enrichment, and free educational programs. To learn more about the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Foundation, please visit us at www.jazzandheritage.org.
New Orleans Burlesque is back. The Red Light District, located on the second floor of your New Orleans headquarters by Nice Guys, presents a captivating, international, award-winning burlesque experience that will leave you breathless. Indulge in the sounds of our Grammy Award-winning quartet and exceptional food pairings each and every Saturday. To purchase tickets, visit Eventbrite.com, and remember, what happens in the Red Light District stays in the Red Light District.
Hey everybody, it's Kimber White Dupree.
And it's Graylin Bryant Banks from the front porch. We're coming up next.
Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK 1230 AM.
And we are back. I am Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. On the line, we have Tanya Moore, Director of Community Engagement with Ochsner Health. And in studio, I have Senator Wesley Bishop.
Good morning, New Orleans.
Good morning, Ms. Moore. You still there with us?
I am here.
So we wanted
Yes,
to give
ma'am.
you the floor to kind of give us any information that you want us to have regarding Ochsner Health, the big health event that's coming up, your partnership with Urban League of Louisiana, any vital information, any contact information you want to share with our listening audience.
Okay, I appreciate that because tomorrow, this is a huge event. One day in one place can you get the preventative care experience that you need, right? And so one of the things that we are doing for the whole family. The kids can enjoy the Ochsner Children's Zone with games and STEM activity, yoga sessions, and fitness. We have main stage healthy panels. One of the things that I was reminded to let the community know, the Urban League received several items for disaster recovery. So there will also, in conjunction with the other things that will be happening, there will be some supplies that will be provided for those who attend. So like cleaning supplies, diapers, different items for personal goods and things that will be given out. There are going to be free uniform vouchers as well as free tennis shoes. Now, those things will probably go early, so we are suggesting that people come early to the event tomorrow. But people who are out there who are listening, we're coming up on Breast Cancer Awareness Month in October. We will have our mammogram unit there, so there will be on-site mammograms. And look, there are so many stories that we can tell that, even the first year we did this, the second person who received their mammogram actually found out something was there. We had our radiologist to read the actual exam, and we talk about, prevention and detection. That person was able to detect a strand of breast cancer in her body very early and also was able to be placed with treatment. So it's stories like that where we want people to understand where they stand in their numbers. And so the list goes on. We have over 25 screenings and tests that will be available, health education, massages, healthy food demonstrations. And I mean, the list just goes on and on. It's going to be a wonderful event. We hope you also come out and take part of it as well. Again, for everyone in the family, we are excited to do this. And of course, we could not put this event off without the oversight and direction of the Urban League of Louisiana. Judy and Kathy have been wonderful to work with, and we are just looking forward to present this on tomorrow. So please come out. Please come out.
Well, we thank you again, Ms. Moore, for spending time with us. She's Tanya Moore, Director of Community Engagement for Ochsner Health. She came to talk to us about the big health event, which will be held Saturday, September 14th, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the New Orleans Ernest N. Morial Convention Center. The event supports Healthy State, a collaboration between Ochsner Health and partners with governments, nonprofit, and business organizations to create healthier, happier, and more productive communities with health equity at the forefront of these efforts. Thank you, Ms. Moore, for being here with us this morning.
Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you for having me. And I look forward to coming back soon.
Absolutely. We look forward to having you. Have a blessed one.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Today has been quite the show, right?
Quite
we had
the show.
Tanya Moore from Ochsner Health. We had Andrew Plessis, Senior Vice President of Liberty Bank. We had Gaston Corbin from the Sewage and Water Board, and we had a surprise pop-up call from our councilman, Oliver O.T. Thomas.
Absolutely, and we would be remiss if we did not end this show paying homage to the legend himself, the adopted New Orleans homeboy, Frank Beverly. Thank you, my brother.
Well, listen, put on your white, turn on your iTunes or your Apple Music or your YouTube music, and stand in your living room and bust stop to Can't Let Go.
Hey, too many games. We got it.
Well, listen, these are the last few moments of the show. I want to thank you for being here with us. While we're sitting here, the news is on, and they're talking about how the ex-Bernie supporters are now embracing the MAGA movement. I don't know if I put too much stake in that. I just think that everybody is trying to do something post-debate since she went up 5 points post-debate. But I will encourage everyone, if you are not registered to vote, so please register. If you want to support WBOK, share us on all platforms so that we can broaden our reach. And if you have a business, buy some ads so we can talk about your business right here on WBOK 1230, because New Orleans is always talking about us.
Always talking about it. And thank you guys. I've had a chance to be a guest for 3 different programs, but one that was interrupted by the actual hurricane. But I want to thank Dr. Wyatt for leading that she always does.
I'm your favorite.
She's my favorite. She's my favorite. Absolutely. I give her that shout out.
Listen,
Absolutely.
I'm everybody's favorite in my mind now. In my mind. But we love what WBOK does here, because even during the storm, they were actively trying to update folk to make certain that they knew what was happening in the city. I had the pleasure of talking to RTA CEO Lona Hankins during those 2 days that we were prepping for Hurricane Francine. Shout out to Nyron and the WBOK family for putting that together. I do know Kimba from the Front Porch. She was on with the sports report.
Yes.
They were giving consistent updates. So WBOK is very, very integral to this community, and it is what everybody's looking for in terms of current updates. And again, we want to thank Bob Breck for his accurate trajectory of Hurricane Francine, but I do see something else that's forming in the Gulf. So we have to
We'll keep an eye on that, definitely.
we have to be cognizant of what is happening out there. I heard that it's like September 26th, we'll know more about what is forming out there.
Yeah, we'll definitely be paying attention to that. And anybody knows, if you've been in New Orleans for half a second, hurricane season is a season that we have to pay attention to everything that comes up, because things can form overnight. I mean, we remember where we were when Hurricane Katrina hit and how quickly that happened. So make sure we take a look at that. Make sure we always look out for young people, and most particularly, make sure you look out for senior citizens and make sure that they're okay.
Absolutely. So we always want to give some education. So I was watching comments on Facebook, and when people were suggesting that you fill your tub with water, a lot of people were like, for what? Well, if you fill your tub with water and your power goes out, you can use the water to flush your toilet so that you can have facilities, right? I also know that I always freeze Ziploc bags of water so that you can have it to kind of keep the food as cold as you can keep it. And then you can also use it for ice should you need that for cooling. So we just have to have some hurricane preparation education around the little small things that we can do to make certain that we are looking out for ourselves and looking out for our families. And more importantly, these generators, they do not belong in your home.
Yes.
Carbon monoxide is an odorless gas. We don't want anybody trying to stay safe and die in the process. So make certain when you're buying these generators, you are actually educating yourself on its usage. And maybe the city can do more to like inform people about the little nuances.
Absolutely.
That we could pay more attention to during storms, and just be neighborly. Like if you have power and your neighbor don't have power, like offer them something cold to drink, you know. Come sit in your living room and watch the news with you or something. We have to get back to being neighborly. You know, just like OT said, like as a community, we need to come together more than just during crisis, right?
Yes. On yesterday, we happened to be off. And so I took the opportunity just to call folks I hadn't talked to in a long time. Hey, man, how you doing? How are things? This, that, and the other. And that was throughout New Orleans, Metairie, as far as West Slidell, you know. So doing those kind of things and helping out the city of New Orleans, your neighborhood. That's something that's critical.
Be more neighborly. Well, up next, we have the Front Porch with Kimba and Graylin. This is WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about. I am Dr. Ashanta Wyatt.
I am State Senator Wesley Bishop. Thank you, New Orleans.
See ya.